Was chocolate on more chocolate, and the serving size that Amy Eiler put together. Good Lord.
Yeah, I could have a ice cold pint of milk would have really
washed
it down, but it was delicious.
It was. Are you 1% or 2% or skim guy?
Oh, 2%.
2%. I started 2. I've taken a step down in my percentage.
You're down to 1?
Yeah, that green label. Which I haven't tell you the one time. Something was off on this milk. And it was the green label. You can put it together on your own. And apparently, I don't know if they have the labeling issues at this place, but I discovered that the same color label does half and half versus your 1%.
No.
So it was not 1% of good old refreshing milk. It was half and half that I was trying to wash down my supper with.
That's going to be a tricky one.
It was not ideal.
Right. I'll dabble in if whole milk is the only option, I can handle it.
Yeah.
But I'm 2%. Just classic 2%.
Yeah. Good old blue label.
Yeah.
The reason why
you're not going to get that mixed up with buttermilk
like blue,
or half and half.
Blue is blue. You know that's number 2. That rhymed unintentionally. But I asked if it's like riding a bike because this whole streaming thing that we were somewhat known for, it's back.
We're back,
We're
baby.
back live. Hey, you can go to YouTube or you can go to KFGO.com, scroll a little bit down, and you can just watch us do radio. In fact, I can hold up these country music. We've got the Moon Dance Country Music Festival coming up this weekend. And that's not, I've got like 4-packs that I've got to get from us to you so you can plan accordingly. That's June 17th through the 18th. It's a 2-day admission that I've got for you. In fact, we're going to be joined by Kevin out at Moon Dance to tell you about that. That's going to be a little bit later on. Messages coming in about milk now. 35270. That is where you could join us on the Eye Consultants of North Dakota text club. My grandfather used to drink skim milk because he had a heart situation. That stuff looked blue, not white. We drink skim milk all the time now. It is not blue. Are they just adding color? No. When I talk about colors, I'm talking about the color on the label outside the jug.
The cap.
The cap. The
carton
labels.
if you get it in a carton.
Correct. They still have a lot of cartons. I don't, because I always see the plastic jugs now.
Right. Even half gallon is now a plastic jug. So
why did we go away from the cartons? That seems more eco-friendly.
Probably cheaper for the company to package that way.
Yeah, everything's got a price. Everything comes down to the almighty
I'm guessing
dollar.
waxed paper is a little more expensive than plastic.
Is it?
I don't know.
That sounds like you're just making up.
Oh yeah, 100% making it up.
All right,
but can you come up with
I have no
more
other
plausible?
alternative. No, I don't. Just convenience. You can recycle it.
Well, you can recycle paper.
Well,
right?
yeah. So there I'm 0 for 2. Nope, I guess not.
Maybe people just really like the handle.
Yeah, the like the growler handle that you go in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, variety of reasons there why they probably switched on over. I'm going to switch topics here. You've got this election going on today, and in fact, as I said earlier, 45,000 North Dakotans voted early this year. It's not eye-popping numbers, but I don't fault you. I'm voting today after work. I usually take advantage of the early voting. This year, it just got away from me. A lot of things were going on, so that's why it's nice to have today. And I'm going to go up north and take care of that. But in this area, there's been a lot of intriguing races, not only for the Fargo City Commission, the Fargo School Board, obviously the mayoral race. I mean, there has been so much attention placed on these races. Good. And I'm proud of what the KFGO's team has done. The news team, the on-air staff, and everyone behind the scenes, Madison Quinn, Carl, all these individuals that are putting in the time and effort so you can learn more about the candidates themselves. Of the candidates for mayor and city commission, we've had all of them on this show for an interview except for, I think, 3 that did not choose to join us. One, quite frankly, just decided on that day that I wasn't quite ready. Others had reasons. But just that information out there for you to digest. So you've got it at your fingertips. So when we have this approval voting that has got some people somewhat confused, I hope that having Jeb in here to talk a little bit more about that but it shouldn't be for the lack of information on these candidates in this area. When it comes to other races across the state, you've got some contests from statewide and into these legislative races. And that's where things have really gotten interesting. And I don't know that there's much out on this side of the state. I know up in the Trail County area, there is a contest going on up there because of the reapportionment. Yeah, the district lines had to get redrawn after the census. So you've got these districts that's, at sometimes were two separate, now they're one, and you've got incumbents running against each other. What's most interesting to me, and this is going to be what we'll cover tomorrow after the results are in, the dust is settled, of not only the local races here, but those contested legislative races have gotten heated. They have gotten ugly at times. And I know that this is now the second election in which you have a Republican governor, and Doug Burgum pouring in millions of dollars of his own money to influence these elections for the legislature. Now, I think I've shared often my thoughts on that approach as a governor of making these investments. Perfectly legal, but it really does give off the impression that you're trying to buy friends in the legislature to get your things done. Because at times, and you cannot forget the introduction of Doug Burgum into politics, he wanted to go out there and say, look, I'm not a politician. Don't label me that. And I think that was in response to a question after his introduction at a press conference that turned into a TED Talk. He was no politician, he says. Well, he certainly learned the ropes quickly. He is out there politicking, in a sense, with his checkbook to buy friends in the legislature. All right, so there's going to be no law changes, I think, anytime soon. But when you've got these heated races out there and you've got the tipping of the thumb on the scale from the governor's office, that's where I think the tensions have risen yet again, because you've got people that were incumbents at times. Well, now they've been endorsed at these conventions, which has been a whole charade, a whole circus out there in these contests and the shouting matches that you saw at school boards and some of these district conventions as well. The thing that I do find more interesting this time around than 2 years ago from the Dakota Leadership PAC is that Doug Burgum hasn't gone negative. It's been those other candidates that are upset when they've been the target of some of this. This money, I think, primarily has gone towards building up the candidates that he wants in office. That's vastly different than what happened 2 years ago, where there was a lot of heated attacks. So does it all? Your perception on a governor spending millions of dollars of his own money to influence legislative races, primaries in particular, that's what I want to hear from you at 35270. You can call me at 237-594. In fact, that's where I'm going to go and visit with our very own Dan Michaels from the Morning Crew. Dan Michaels, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Tyler. How are you doing this afternoon?
Doing well. It's a beautiful day out there. Waiting to get on out after this 5 o'clock punch out, get my voting done. It looks like you're probably out doing that just right now.
Yeah, Tasha Carvel and I ran into each other just naturally here out of West Acres today. I got on my motorbike and came out here. The area where you park at West Acres, which is like, I don't know, the Essentia or the Roger Maris entrance in the back of West Acres, parking lot is packed. In fact, there are people parking probably a little bit illegally just to get in here. The wait is about 15 minutes, I would say, tops, to get in and vote. I talked to some of the people that are working, volunteers that are here. They said it's just shy of 1,000 people so far for the day, but been super steady. Nobody was in really to vote prior to 11 this morning, but since 11 o'clock this morning, it has been nice and steady. And again, approaching 1,000 voters at this site. And looks like it's going to stay nice and steady this afternoon. Nice crowd out here today getting their voting done on Election Day.
Well, Dan, that's good to hear. Because I know that location in particular, because they moved inside of West Acres from, I think, the basement to there during early voting. That initial day, they were quite concerned with how low a turnout there was. But I think word got out. And I couldn't think of a better place to be having a polling location than a center mall where you've got people from all backgrounds, all age groups coming out and casting their ballot.
And I tell you what, Tyler, that I was going to touch on that as well. It is diverse. All sorts of different Americans are lined up here. And you know what's really cool is that most everybody, especially people with kids, are stopping and staring at all of Roger Maris's accomplishments and then slowly making their way over and getting in the line. The people I talked to, by the way, that are volunteers working here today on Election Day said last week during the pre-election day where you could come and vote early, said it was nice and steady. Really good numbers, they thought, last week as well. So things are going well. Looks like a lot of people are getting out and getting that vote today. A very important election in the city of Fargo that's gotten a lot of publicity.
A lot of people talking about. Dan Michaels, my friend, I appreciate you checking in, man. We'll be listening tomorrow morning, all right?
Yep, you got it. Thanks, Tyler. Have a great afternoon.
Yeah, you do the same. Dan Michaels, Morning Crew, him and Doug Lear every morning right here on KFGO. I got to get you a weather update from Too Tall Tom Szymanski. We'll wrap up the first hour of Afternoons Live right after this. I mean, with the amount of money going into these elections, I mean, it's increasing even on these primary races. An increase over the last couple of years of double digits when it comes to expenditures. Well, I mean, you're on the receiving end of those when you are listening to this very station, for example, hearing more ads, seeing more shiny flyers. I mean, you're receiving all of it. Pays off for most of these candidates. I think at some point you overdo it, in which if a candidate or if a voter's gotten 18 different flyers, 10 of which come from the governor's pack, that might be a bit of a turnoff for some of those voters out there to start voting against that candidate. That's what I'm hearing in some of those districts out in western North Dakota. But at the text club, Tyler, you're only an outsider for a little bit. After 2+ years, you're just a politician. Well, and I would know to that when that was claimed by Doug Burgum as a candidate at the time. I mean, you put your name on the ballot, you are now a politician. You don't want to enjoy the label until you get the title that comes with it, the politicking side of it. But the last 2 election cycles have really shown the politician that is Doug Burgum by just the sheer fact of how much money he can throw at races. Completely legal, completely well within his right, but completely out of reach for 98% of you listening to me right now. And it's not just him. You've got other special interest groups that are too chicken to reveal where their money comes from, and then they're attacking candidates that are on nonpartisan races. So there's just a lot of things that went in leading up to today that were firsts, and it's going to be the first of what's more to come. I think this trend of having your money shielded through like a Pat Finken group, there's going to be more people that are interested in that because they don't want to have their hands dirty with the politicking that goes on throughout these local races. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to get you caught up with CBS National News. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about this Google firing a whistleblower that says, look, there is this language model out there that is persuading me that, in fact, he's got rights and that it's an equal to me, not a property. So we'll talk about that with an NDSU professor next year on KFGO. Dr. Ann Denton, my guest, NDSU computer science professor, explaining things to me as I'm 5, which is I need in this very complex issue when it comes to this Google situation. You talked about the instance before, not the one that we're talking about just because it came up over the weekend. Is more concerning because they talked about some implied biases in these word programs. Why is Google, it seem like it's got a trend of trying to silence engineers and these individuals that are raising some red flags?
Well, I'm not working with Google. I don't know. Clearly anytime somebody would go out and say that the business model of the company they're working for is flawed, I don't think any company really likes that very much.
Does this add a whole other, when you go as public with something because as I was saying, when you start throwing this out there, people's minds go to that, okay, this is how, it's as most dire situation, this is how it's going to start here. Does that add for them to say, look, even if it's something about just talking about perceived biases, you got to get going?
Well, I see those two instances as different. So in this particular case, I think they're just saying he is misrepresenting the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So what this falls in the whistleblowing category, of course, and I teach social implications, and I always tell students, sure, there are cases where whistleblowing is the thing if you've explored every internal route, but it can lead to being let go. So in this particular case, I think they also really felt that he was saying things that were not really consensus research and so on consensus, because if this had been self-driving car, the Roomba, little vacuum cleaner, and the self-driving car didn't want to be turned off, or the Roomba would evade you to not be turned off because it has the self awareness that being turned off isn't, it can't do anything anymore. That would be really concerning. This was not a physical system. So I do think that in the social implications class, we talk a lot about self-driving cars and this kind of scenario. But there was no such thing here. Neither. The other thing we talk about is general intelligence. So if this robot had strategized what it needed to do in order to avoid being turned off, that would also have been really concerning to me. But neither of those two things really happened. It was really just regurgitating everything it was seeing in these conversations from which it was learning, from these millions of dialogues.
Those two scenarios you just talked about with the self-driving car, you and your class talking about that, or a Roomba, to make it more simple here, how far off is it from anywhere getting close to that? Because I have a sense it's not anywhere in the near future, but with the exponential growth, it seems, of our capacity to collect data, to do things that we all, I think, voluntarily put more information out there. Is this rapidly escalating, or?
So there was this movie, The Social Dilemma, that talked about some such things, and I thought the summary there seemed intuitive to me, which is that all the general intelligence discussions have been about robots reaching the human strengths in reasoning, and we are not there. But the robotic systems, including bots, have reached the level of human weakness, and that may be just as bad. So I think that it might be and human weakness, that is about being manipulated, about propaganda and so on. And bias is part of that manipulation. So I think the manipulation is the bigger risk. I think we are still somewhat away from reaching the human strengths.
Well, on the manipulation side, as a consumer or as a user of these platforms, you've been teaching now for, you mentioned, over 20 years on some of these ethics data. Has the general public become more aware of how they're, quite frankly, manipulated on these platforms, whether it's Google, YouTube, how the data, the biases, or are we just trusting everything we see still?
So I will say that one of the most enjoyable experience in my entire career has been that for the past year I have taught a social implications class where every class period I let the students discuss on the pro and the con side. And it's questions like what is more likely to manipulate you, the TV or Facebook, basically that sort of question. And I've been blown away by how much the students can contribute. So certainly our computer science students do have a very high level of awareness of these things. Does the level of awareness propagate faster than the manipulation? Well, that's always, and I mean, one of the things I also like to tell my students, I'm from Germany, and so I always have plenty of bad examples of propaganda from the 1930s and early 40s in Germany. And I mean, propaganda was terrible there. So I mean, to the point there was a joke. Some of the propaganda survived the system that created it. It's crazy how manipulative regimes manage to use propaganda. That was the case 100 years ago.
Dr. Denton, do you have just 5 more minutes for me after this weather update?
Sure.
Very good. Dr. Ann Denton, she's a professor up at NDSU Computer Science. I just got one more question, but I got to get you caught up with KFGO News. We'll check it with the rest of your office and also right after this.
News weather this hour brought to you by Muscatel Pre-Owned. Muscatel's was voted #1 by LocalsLoveUs.com for good reason. So stop in today to Muscatel Pre-Owned, just off of Exit 1 in Moorhead.
Partly sunny. It's 81 degrees. I'm Paul Juergens. The Weather Service in Grand Forks and on our KFGO weather radar tracking a severe thunderstorm. In fact, there's a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for another 15 minutes or so. It covers eastern Red Lake, southeastern Polk, north-central Monoman counties, also southeastern Pennington and northwestern Clearwater counties. This particular storm is around the Erskine, Minnesota area, south of Thief River Falls, moving to the northeast at about 30 miles an hour. The possibility of golf ball size hail and strong wind gusts 60 miles an hour or so. Again, that is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 3:45 for a section of several counties in northwestern Minnesota. And in Fargo, Cass County Electric Cooperative.
Dr. Ann Denton's time, professor NDSU computer science. And Dr. Denton, where we had left off, we're talking about ethics, we're talking about misinformation, and now we've had a great conversation off air. Let's replicate it on air. You're from Germany.
Yes.
And you were talking about, your father's time and when he was raised and being a part of radio and television, all that, and the use of that technology to spread the word. Explain that to the audience and how it translates, I think, now to how easily things are spread on Facebook, social media in general.
Yeah, I think it is very important to understand that anytime there is a new technology, there is potential for manipulation and for propaganda and any of those things. My dad's dad had a workshop for radio at the time. It started going into TV after the war. During the Holocaust, my dad's dad, he was repairing these radios and was very aware of how they had these what was called Volksempfänger, like Volkswagen, so people's receivers that basically everybody got very inexpensively, and they had them in their living rooms, and that was a major mechanism for how the Holocaust could happen, because people had no defenses towards there suddenly being a voice in the middle of their living room. And I do think any time that there's a new technology, we just don't know where it goes, and it can amplify dangerous political ideas.
When you talk about new technology, because, I keep going back to social media because I think I've seen more now of the negative side of it over the last, I was in college when Facebook started, and I had to have a .edu at NDSU. And it was confined to just that. And then once they opened up the gates, said, you know what, as long as you got an email address and an internet connection, have at it here. And now how that's evolved from, here's what my family did on vacation, into really just people being, quite frankly, angry, sharing things on there. Is it still considered a new technology, this social media platform? Are we still learning as we go here? Give me your thoughts on this as a new technology.
Oh, I absolutely think we do not yet know where that goes. And I mean, keep in mind, the radio had been around for a while when the Holocaust happened too. I mean, it takes a little while to really become apparent what the potential for manipulation is. And of course, social media are really different from these broadcast media, which they have. It's a few people in broadcast media spreading a message, whereas on social media you have all these many individual interactions, and that's got advantages and disadvantages, because on the one hand you have less control over the content. On the other hand, I mean, we're talking about this too off air, this phenomenon. Well, this is what my friend is thinking, and I mean,
yeah, we learned a lot about each other over the last few years, haven't we?
And that's something, I think that's on the positive side of social media, but where is it going to go? I don't know. I mean, the technologists don't necessarily know that, and I think that's also important to understand.
Well, and we have a war going on in Ukraine right now that we're watching in first perspective. I mean, you have people on the ground, residents of Ukraine, videotaping this on TikTok, uploading it. There was a high-profile trial of celebrities that were forced onto us through social media, and I really think that changed how people perceived both individuals on trial there, and then the outcome, and how it's changed reputations there. I think how we're consuming real-world events in real time has really changed how we're going, and I don't see it slowing down at all here. So with that, in the industry itself, whether Google is how we started here, where they fired people for whistleblowing, say, do they have any checks on themselves, or are they just kind of, people talk about big tech, and there's not a lot of oversight right now. Is that true? Do they have some self-governance, or is it, well, we're going to see how far we can push this limit and hope that your Roomba doesn't decide that it's going to avoid you to not want to get shut off?
Well, I mean, the industry has been lobbying for self-governance, and that has all the advantages and risks that self-governance has. I mean, if you had politicians in the game, on the one hand, they would be independent. They wouldn't have the self-interest. But on the other hand, they wouldn't understand the issues as well. And I mean, I have spent the past year, anytime I teach, I put the pro and I put the con, and this would be a perfect topic for my class. And I'm sure there would be I think I have asked questions somewhat like this. There would be plenty of arguments on the pro side, plenty of arguments on the con side. Should there be somebody outside the industry who is who has a say?
Dr. Den, is there anything else I missed? I am so appreciative of your time. Like I said, I asked for 10 and he gave us much more than that. I could go all afternoon visiting with you about this, but what else did I miss that you want to get out to the public about, whether it's Google, self-awareness of computers? The floor is yours.
Oh, I think this was really a great conversation, and I really like the direction in which it went, because I think that really the manipulation propaganda portions are the riskier ones than the self-awareness. I think that we are not yet that close to these Terminator scenarios, and I mean the current Google case. I mean that AI it wasn't in a robot. If it had been in a robot, my opinion would be different. So I think that, yes, there are a lot of concerns. I think it deserves a lot of discussion. Was the current one the most important? I'm not convinced.
Very good. Well, it had a lot of my friends talking, so I'm like, okay, and I'm fascinated by it. And because I keep getting messages about how much everyone else enjoyed the conversation, you just got to promise to answer the phone when we call again. Love to have you back on the show.
I'd gladly come back. I really enjoy this. I enjoy coming here, and this is a topic I really care a lot about.
Well, it's been fun, and we'll do it again soon. Till then, get out and enjoy that afternoon, all right?
Thank you.
Dr. Ann Denton, professor at NDSU. I'm going to get you a weather update from Tooth Tall Tom. We'll come back right after this.
Just in from the National Weather Service, a severe thunderstorm warning for Marshall County in northwestern Minnesota, eastern Red Lake County, southeastern Polk County, northwestern Beltrami County in north central Minnesota, eastern Pennington County, and northern Clearwater County in Minnesota. All those counties in Minnesota. And this severe thunderstorm warning until 4:30 p.m. Currently 82 degrees at the KFGO studios. More Afternoons Live with Tyler Axis coming up right after this.
Text club at 35270 about being artificially intelligent. And I do want to emphasize the artificially intelligent part on that, but I appreciate that. And I appreciate you sticking through that conversation. It's fascinating stuff. I probably because I'm a nerd at times, but I can say when I'm talking to others and I bring up the Google situation, which clearly Dr. Denton talked us off the ledge if you had any concerns about this current one. But it's a bad look. I understand the business side, but when somebody says, hey, this thing feels like it's maybe gone a step too far, and the company fires him, maybe I've watched too many 80s sci-fi movies. It didn't feel right yesterday. Still not convinced that Google's in the right here today, but I'm much more at ease.
Maybe not on this one, but we got to keep our eye.
But I've heard now 2 instances in the last 2 years that Google said, get out. The door's right there. Don't let it hit you on the way.
You said it yourself, but how could you listen to that interview and not want to take a class or just every class she offers from her?
If I were still in college, I'd be just thrilled to take just informative Dr. Ann Denton. And I appreciate her willingness to talk about her family history and relation when it comes to her being more concerned, not about your Roomba trying to evade you because it doesn't want to get shut off, which would be alarming. Don't get me wrong. Or if all of a sudden you're driving your Tesla and it's like, yeah, we're not going to your home. We're going wherever I feel like, and there's nothing you can do about it. Which, again, very troubling, but still the human aspect of technology in these platforms. And that's where maybe I'm beating the old drum here. But watching over the last, I don't know why I throw 6 years. I can take it back 10 years. Where the shift from just showing some of the cool things you did, some of the great cuisines you've had, that you want to take a photo on Instagram and show everybody, and how everything feels as though it's got some argument built up in it now. I mean, you can talk about how beautiful a sunset is in this particular part of the world, and all of a sudden it gets into an argument somehow. And how we've used these platforms to really have a conversation, because everybody's got now their own blog. Everybody's got their own, in essence, article function that they can put out their thoughts out there to rile people up or to get people of like mind to start collaborating. And we've now become, albeit connected, but so isolated at the same time because we get into our echo chambers. It's unique. It's new. As you just heard, it's still a new technology. We don't know the real impacts, but you can feel it, can't you? You know it in your day-to-days and what your habits are when it goes to, opening applications at the palm of your hand on a cell phone. I think it is important that we talk about it. We'll continue to do that here on Afternoons Live. In the meantime, CBS National News, let's talk about Moon Dance Country Music Fest right after this on KFGO. There's a couple of tidbits I want to get out to you before I get you into that KFGO News Center and get caught up with Paul Juergens. Polling places here in Fargo. We had somebody calling and asking a little bit earlier on. So here's the variety of places you can go vote. Fargo Dome is a polling place. You got West Acres, the community corner. Roger Maris interested. You had Dan Michaels call in and tell you about how diverse the crowd is there and how many people are out there voting. The Doubletree Inn in West Fargo, also a place. The Fargo Civic Center in downtown, and Atonement Lutheran Church on South University Drive are the places that you can vote inside Fargo. There's a variety of rural spots as well. Horace Fire Hall, Northern Cass School, the Days Inn in Castleton. Oh, yeah, the Northern Cass School is in Hunter, by the way. Tower City Community Center as well. So a variety of places in the area. You get on out. You've got till 7 o'clock when polls close, and then you'll be listening to KFGO for your election night coverage. Joel Heidkamp, myself, will be in the studio, and our team is going to be out and about at some of these watch parties. We'll bring you all the sounds and results a little bit later on. I'll tell you more about what's coming up right after this KFGO News.
KFGO News, a partly sunny sky. It's 81 degrees. I'm Paul Juergens. The Severe Storm Prediction Center has issued a severe thunderstorm watch. It'll be in effect until 10 o'clock tonight, covering a number of Minnesota counties, northwestern Minnesota. The counties in this severe thunderstorm watch: Beltrami, Cass, Clearwater, Hubbard, Itasca, Kitson, Couchiching, Lake of the Woods, Mahnomen, Marshall, Norman, Pennington, Red Lake, Polk, and Roseau. Again, that's a severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock. Some cities included would be Ada, Crookston, East Grand Forks, Halstead, Carlstead, Mahnomen, Nadawash, Park Rapids, Leaf River Falls, Twin Valley, and Waban. Again, that is a severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock tonight. Mayor Tim Mahoney says a longtime Fargo police officer who appealed his firing will be allowed to resign. Mahoney says the city attorney came to an agreement with a lawyer for Justin Nocitello. He says he expects the agreement to be approved without debate at the next city commission meeting. Nocitello was fired by Police Chief Dave Sapolsky earlier this year. He was accused of not responding in a timely manner to a stolen car report and a missing persons case. He asked that he be allowed to resign. Mahoney says the agreement calls for his resignation to be retroactive to January 12th. A 13-year-old girl is hospitalized in Fargo after the ATV she was driving rolled along Highway 75 near Halstead, Minnesota. The State Patrol says the girl was not wearing a seatbelt or a helmet. The crash took place shortly after 1 this afternoon. Her name and condition have not been released. Fargo police say they arrested 2 people overnight following an incident involving gunfire and fleeing. Shortly after 11, officers responded to a call of a gunshot. In the 1900 block of 21st Avenue South, they found a building had been struck by 2 bullets. A caller gave a description of a vehicle thought to have been involved. Police stopped the SUV in that same area. The driver informed police he didn't have a license and then fled with a passenger. In the process, he ran over an officer's foot and nearly struck a second officer. Police tracked down the vehicle and found it had been abandoned. A perimeter was set up and police began the search using Uno, a police canine. Most suspects were quickly apprehended, identified as the driver, 41-year-old Michael Gruneau, and his 26-year-old passenger, Chantel Davis. Patients needing bone marrow transplants in Fargo and around the region once had to travel 3 to 10 hours to receive the necessary stem cell treatments, but that is no longer the case.
Roger Maris Cancer Center for years has been a fairly comprehensive center, providing all the medical oncology, surgical oncology, and radiation oncology that the region needs. The stem cell transplant program is the final cap on that whole comprehensive team.
That is Sanford Dr. Seth Moliski, a hematologist and bone marrow transplant specialist. A ribbon cutting was held today for the Cancer Center's blood and bone marrow transplant program. Moliski says it puts the Maris facility into a new echelon of regional care centers.
Here at Roger Maris, we're now able to provide equivalent care to any cancer institution across the Midwest.
The first bone marrow transplant at the Maris Center was completed last October. Since the program began, 9 patients have successfully completed transplants. Again, a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 10 o'clock tonight for a number of counties in northwestern Minnesota. Closest to the FM area would be Mahnomen and Polk. Also, Clearwater County included in that, Kitson County, Marshall County, Pennington, Severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock tonight. Fargo-Moorhead, we hit 83 at our KFGO studios earlier this afternoon. Partly sunny and 81 now. Partly cloudy overnight, 58 the low. Partly sunny tomorrow and the high near 77. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
Final hour of Afternoons Live on a Tuesday getting underway. Thanks for keeping it locked into KFGO. And just, about 3 days, at least for the passes I have, June 17th and 18th, Country Music in Walker, Minnesota. Moondance Events brings to you this Country Music Festival. Here to tell you a little bit more about that is the Assistant Backstage Director at Moondance Country Music, Kevin Abernathy, going to be joining us and telling you about the lineup. Kevin, I appreciate you taking time today. How are you doing out there?
Thank you. Well, it's pretty frantic right now. Obviously, we're in setup mode, but we're getting there.
That's why I appreciate you taking time. I can about imagine how crunch time it is. And the weather, maybe just a tish warm to be setting up as well, I imagine.
It's pretty warm. We're pretty excited, though, because we're deploying our sort of robotic stage. It's a stage unlike one we've used before that's actually kind of folds out and sort of creates the stage automatically. It's kind of interesting to watch it all come together.
Well, technology can be a beautiful thing from time to time. That's for sure.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they've got to run a little leaner and meaner,
Well, I hope that while you're talking to us, you find a nice, cool air conditioning spot at least.
Yeah, that's where I'm calling you from.
Oh, very good. Okay, well, there. I don't feel quite as bad to give you a little bit of break, knowing how crunch time.
I'll take my reprieve.
So this music festival is going on again, Walker, Minnesota. This is not unfamiliar to a lot of people, but if they haven't gotten a chance to maybe check out a lineup or what's going on this weekend, give them a flavor of what's expected.
Mm-hmm. Well, our event specializes in kind of up-and-coming country artists. Most of the artists that we've had come to our country shows go on to end up being on the Grand Ole Opry and other places, and that's certainly true of the crew that we got. This week, Thursday, our headliner is Sean Stemley, and then Friday we've got Ashley McBride, who's incredible if you've ever seen her perform. She's very energetic, and then of course Saturday night our headliner is Jamie Johnson, and that'll be the big show for us. He's definitely out there and doing some really cool stuff. And we always have really good support acts along with them. We got again Thursday night Mason Dixon Line, Friday night we got Matt Stell, Saturday night got Logan Miz. I always pronounced that wrong. And then a couple other support acts that we kind of put on the bill late in the game, but really, really good, incredible musicians. Friday night, we've got Mackenzie Porter, and Saturday night, we've got Shane Martin. And anybody that's been out to Moondance before knows Shane. He's been here many times. He's kind of a fan favorite. And then, as you also know, we have a lot of the cool thing about our events, we always have music going all the time. So we have a saloon stage and a tiki bar. And we've got some great bands that come out there. And people that know Moondance know that's kind of the secret. Everybody comes out here. It's a nice family event. People like to party. And, along with the wonderful main stage acts, we've got these regional acts that are just killing it. Thursday night, our last call band is Slamma-Jamma, and they're awesome. Mm-hmm. Friday night closing band in the saloon is 32 Below. And then Saturday night, we got a really cool act called Girls Night Out. That's really cool. And then, of course, we've got a bunch of other bands, Shotgun, Drama Junkies, October Road, Blonde and the Bohunk, which is another really cool country band. And the Tiki Bar stage always runs a lot of sort of more local type bands, too. So we've got a real wide variety of music, and we're really excited. It looks like the weather's cooperating, and we're pretty jazzed about the event.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. And I wonder, what goes into coming up with some of these band names, but that's a conversation probably for another time.
Yeah.
But you're right. The weather's going to be ideal for something that's warm, so people stay hydrated. The ones that we're going to be sending out there a little bit later on, but have fun, just not too much fun. Make sure you space out with some water as well.
We'll do that. We
Yeah.
always hydrate.
So talk about the type of planning that goes into this. I know this crunch time, getting it physically set up, but I mean, this is something people know about Moon Dance. It's an annual tradition for some people that I know. Talk about some of the work that goes into this, sir.
Well, the pandemic kind of ran everybody off the road, even the largest company in the world, the Live Nation. It really derailed a lot of people, and certainly we're feeling the effects of that here. We're adjusting to that the way the artists are traveling now. But it takes a long time to plan this event. It doesn't just happen overnight. Kathy Bilo and her staff go into planning basically when the event gets done, and then start working forward to get to here. But there's a lot of things that have to happen.
Yeah, a lot of hours going into something like this. That's why we want to make sure we have a good turnout out there, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone,
absolutely,
all those artists, get. That's one thing that, and I know I've said this to the regular listeners plenty of times, but you're right. Bring up the pandemic and everything came to a halt. I think for a lot of us, we realized some of the things we took for granted during that time. For me, it was certainly live music and the ability to go to Walker, Minnesota, and spend a whole weekend enjoying in live local music. And I hope that people, now that it's back open, say, look, I know I took it for granted before, not again. And they're going to get the tickets and come on out.
And the thing I think that's special about this event, and if you've been to some of the others, you know what I'm talking about. There's a real family vibe here. There's sort of we've been coming here for so long. I've been with the event, I think, 27 years now. And there's a family of moon dancers that are hardcore, and we just love those people. And they usually bring new people with them, and they get to explore all the new things we got going on. And Kathy does a really good job of putting on sort of events within the event. We've got beer pong and tasting, things that go on all through the event, along with all the music that's always playing. And it's kind of a special event, and we kind of hold that high in our hearts,
You bet. Kevin, what I miss, I know how busy things are as you're getting everybody ready to go here Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I know I've got passes I'll be getting out for Friday and Saturday out there. So,
okay, great.
What did I miss with that? You're going to say, why didn't you let the world know about this before I let you go?
Just that we're really excited to be kind of doing it again. We'd like to get as many people out here to party with us as we can, and we know we're going to have a great time. And if you're smart, you'll get out here and join us.
Well, very good. Well, we're going to be sending some smart KFGO listeners out there for you, Kevin. I appreciate you taking some time, getting a little of an AC, but I'll let you get back after it, my friend.
Great. Definitely look me up when you get out here, and we'll say hi.
Well, I'll do that, Kevin. I appreciate your time. You take care.
Have a great start.
Yeah, you
have a great day.
Yeah,
good luck to your listeners.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Kevin Abernathy, he is out there at Moon Dance Jam. In fact, he's getting the crew set up. He's the assistant backstage director out at Moon Dance Country Music. I tell you what, I've got a number of 4-packs here. So you and 3 of your friends, 3 of your family can go on out and enjoy the weekend. I'll tell you how you can score a 4-pack right after this here on KFGO. I'm Tyler Axis. Don't go anywhere. Physician assistant Catherine Gray, well, you know what? She's over at IMA Healthcare, and she is accepting new patients. So now is a perfect time to make your appointment. She sees patients of all ages who love and trust the care that she has provided over the many, many years that she has been providing healthcare. Catherine has a special interest in women's health and chronic disease management. If you don't know her, now's the time, and here's how you can find her. You can call her 701-280-2033. For those that do know Catherine Gray and you'd like to see her, simply call IMA. She has been thrilled to continue your care at IMA Healthcare. There's no need to start over with a new provider that doesn't know your health history. So Catherine Gray, not only accepting new patients, but the ones that have been her patients for quite some time. Catherine Gray is also an outstanding local physician who has been practicing here for many years. Recently made the career change and has joined IMA Healthcare here in Fargo. And IMA Healthcare is excited to have her as part of their growing list of excellent healthcare providers. Having the opportunity to get in quickly to see a high-quality healthcare provider like Catherine Gray is something IMA Healthcare is known for. No need to wait to get in anywhere else when you can just get in as soon as possible at IMA Healthcare. I'm going to give you the phone number and website. Phone number one more time. Hope you have your pen and paper out. 701-280-2033. Or you can visit imahealthcare.com. Well, appreciate Kevin getting a break from setting up the stage for a country music out of Walker, Minnesota. Moon Dance Events proudly presents this country music festival. I've got 2-day admission tickets. And I've got a 4-pack. And you know what? The first 4-pack, I'm going to make it easy. If you are caller number 4 to 237-5948, well, you and 3 of your friends, you or 3 of your family members, I don't care who, as long as you and 3 other people go and utilize these tickets or passes, you get on in. Again, it's a 2-day admission ticket. So you be caller number 4 at 237-5948 to this first pass of 4 is yours. In the meantime, other messages coming in about voting here in the FM area. And there's a couple that I've got to address today. They said don't answer on air. Questions about ballot layout in particular, especially I think in some of these machines, which I have not voted on before. And I'm going to be voting after the show here and hopefully just get on up and enjoy it. I'm not going to have to say it all in the city of Fargo. I'm no longer a city of Fargo resident, which of all the times that I would have liked to have had a say in some things when it comes to the city, this would have certainly been the election. But I just am saying this on air that I got your message. I'll text you back the questions on the ballot here. But there's other messages that have been just flooding in. And it's got to do with a comment that was tweeted out it wasn't from Kevin Kramer, but it was a quote from Kevin Kramer. And the individual that tweeted this out is Igor Bavik. And according to his Twitter account, it's senior politics reporter at the Huffington Post. So it's a Huffington Post individual, which if you had a diagram and you saw the landscapes of where these magazines and publications are, well, Huffington Post, I'm just going to be upfront, does lean on the left side. But if this is a quote from Kevin Kramer in regards to concerns after being briefed on the gun violence framework, so today they had a caucus lunch on the Republican side, and we went through what the framework was yesterday during the show. And I said at the time, and I'll say it again, if you are a law-abiding gun owner, there should be nothing in that framework that concerns you. There is nothing in there. I mean, there's no one's getting their gun taken away. There's no raising of age limits. There is nothing that should concern you if you are a law-abiding gun owner. But I've already told you before about Kevin Kramer being more concerned about his political well-being than anything else. He said so, that if he was going to vote for something, he'd be concerned that most of his voters would throw him out. So this was attributed to Kevin Kramer following the briefing in the caucus lunch. I think we're more concerned in the red wave than we are in red flags, quite honestly. So the way I read that is though that Kevin Kramer is more concerned about the election coming up in this red wave to take back the House, the Senate, and eventually the White House here in 2 years. More concerned about that than red flag laws, which was just a small sliver of this framework. The small sliver of which you would have federal dollars going to states that want to pass red flag laws. But this is just Kevin Kramer showing you who he is. I mean, not a lot of you had blinders on as to how he views the world and how self-centered perhaps he really is when it comes to his own political career. Remember yesterday, and I'm talking about all the frustration I had from people like Kevin Kramer, U.S. Senator here in North Dakota, who has made his career off of counting votes and making sure that he knows the process because his livelihood depends on it. As a career politician, this is what he cares about. Simply getting more in elected office of people like him. Instead of doing things when there's already been 10 Republican senators that said, yep, I'm comfortable with this. He comes out and said he's more worried about a red wave than the red flag laws. What more can a guy say? I'm not surprised. I'm sure not a lot of you are. And if you think he's well within his right, by all means, 237-5948, it's the Laney Studio line. You can text me at 35270. That's provided by the Ag Consultants of North Dakota. More concerned about a red wave, meaning the upcoming midterm elections and getting more Republicans elected than red flags. Priorities. That's U.S. Senator Kevin Cramer right here in North Dakota. Get you caught up with Paul Jurgens of the KFGO News Center. We'll come back. Final half hour. You, me, this microphone, and your cell phone. I'm Tyler Axis, and this is KFGO Fargo.
News and weather this hour brought to you by Muscatel Pre-Owned. Muscatel's was voted #1 by localsloveus.com for good reason. So stop in today to Muscatel Pre-Owned, just off exit 1 in Moorhead.
Fargo-Moorhead, partly sunny. It's 81. I'm Paul Jurgens. Mayor Tim Mahoney says a longtime Fargo police officer who appealed his firing will be allowed to resign. Mahoney says the city attorney came to an agreement with a lawyer for Justin Nocitello. He says he expects the agreement to be approved without debate at the next city commission meeting. Nocitello was fired by Police Chief Dave Zabulski earlier this year. He was accused of not responding in a timely manner to a stolen car report and missing persons case. He asked that he be allowed to resign. Mahoney says the agreement calls for the resignation to be retroactive to January 12th. A 13-year-old girl is hospitalized in Fargo after the ATV she was driving rolled along Highway 75 near Halstead, Minnesota this afternoon. The State Patrol says the girl was not wearing a seatbelt or helmet. The crash took place shortly after 1. Her name and condition have not been released. Voting picked up at midday and late this afternoon across the voting locations in Fargo. The 5 people are choosing a mayor, 2 city commissioners, 3 park board members, and 5 school board members. You can cast a ballot at the Fargo Dome, West Acres Mall Community Corner, Doubletree Inn in West Fargo, Fargo Civic, and Atonement Lutheran Church until 7 o'clock tonight.
We used to have a voting location open in every precinct. The last time we had polling locations in each precinct was in 2018.
Cass County Election Coordinator Deanne Buckhouse, she says it takes 5 people per polling place to fill the slots, and it became difficult finding enough people to do the work. Complete election return coverage tonight after the polls close on KFGO. 81, this is KFGO News. 81, this is KFGO News. A two-alarm fire caused heavy damage to a building housing a number of businesses in South Fargo. That fire overnight at 4133 30th Avenue South. Flames were showing through the roof of the building when the first units arrived, according to Assistant Fire Marshal Dawn Stolenwork. The call came in just after 1. Additional crews were called in. Fire crews began attacking the fire from the exterior. It was some time before crews were able to get at the fire from inside the building. 2 ladder trucks were also used to get at that blaze. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Reporter Scott Peterson says the Minnesota Department of Health is confirming 2 cases of measles in children who are siblings in Hennepin County.
The 2 children developed symptoms shortly after returning from a visit to a country where measles is common. The preschool-aged children were not vaccinated, and one was hospitalized due to measles complications. MDH is working to notify people who may have been exposed. Health officials say if additional measles cases develop as a result of these cases, they'll likely occur between now and July 1st.
As stormy weather rolled through parts of the region early today, a sharp lightning bolt struck close to a home in Valley City. That was around 7 this morning. Fire Chief Scott Magnuson says no one was hurt. He says electrical power to the home was knocked out. The impact from the lightning split a pine tree, blew out a concrete curb, and threw dirt into the street and driveway of the home. Again, a severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock tonight, covering a number of counties in northwestern Minnesota. Those counties include Clearwater, Kitson, Mahnomen, Marshall, Norman, Polk, Red Lake, and Roseau. A severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 10 o'clock tonight. 82, our current reading on our KFGO studios. We hit 83 earlier this afternoon. Overnight, partly cloudy, 58. Tomorrow, 77 and partly sunny. Then Thursday, mostly sunny, windy, 80. And by the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, sunshine, windy at times. KFGO meteorologist Tom Szymanski is expecting highs Saturday, Sunday between 94 to as warm as 100 degrees. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
Congratulations to Luke for winning the first 4-pack for the Country Music Walker, Minnesota, that's provided by Moon Dance Events Presents. Again, rhyming unintentionally here. But I asked that you call in for the first one. How about in the second one, you text in for another 4-pack, 35270. All you got to do is text Moon to 35270. And I'm randomly going to select one of the texts that says Moon into our text club. And then another 4-pack coming your way here on Afternoons Live. Again, these 2-day passes are for June 17th and 18th. The 2-day admission ticket includes pre-party. So if you want to get out there Thursday, they allow that as well. Tickets, camping updates. For more, you can go to moondanceevents.net. But you text Moon to 35270. And one of you is going to get a text back from me as we get you caught up with CBS National News. There was commentary in about Little Caesars getting the NFL contract for being the official pizza. I'm going to read those when I come back here. Final 20 minutes of Afternoons Live underway right here on KFGO. getting ready for the election night coverage tonight. Again, 7 o'clock to 8:30. We're going to be live broadcasting, streaming, KFGO.com, YouTube, and, of course, 790 AM, 94.1 and 104.7 FM, KFGO. The other thing that you don't get to see is when I tell you to text in a word to 35270, sometimes in this big network of stations that's under this umbrella that is Midwest Communications, that somebody else already had that as a keyword for a giveaway. And if you got a text back from a different station saying, you cannot enter into this contest, pay no attention, ignore it. I still got all the moon texts into 35270 for the potential 4-pack to Moon Dance, the country music festival going on this weekend, Walker, Minnesota. I will get back to one of you, but if you got that text back that was prompted, just ignore it. That's me not knowing what I'm talking about, which for many of you saying, well, that's not even the first time today nor this hour that has happened. But I'll get back to one of you very shortly here. In the meantime, I'd said earlier today, because it surprised me, and this is what was trending on my Twitter, which says a lot more about things I follow on Twitter, perhaps, that Little Caesars takes over for the official pizza of the NFL, butting out Pizza Hut, where nobody out pizzas the Hut. Apparently, Little Caesars said, hold my beer. And the NFL was able to sign with them, which I was surprised. I mean, it's nothing against Little Caesars. It's nothing against Pizza Hut. I don't care. Papa John's, Domino's. So I'm not getting into the pizza wars. But somebody texted in, and I did not know this, and I need verification, but I trust you. Saying, Tyler, you didn't know that Jerry Jones is one of the biggest owners of Little Caesars, and so is Peyton Manning? I'm looking for acknowledgement for those that are in the studio, and is that true? I thought Peyton Manning was with Papa Murphy's.
Papa John's.
Yeah.
I thought he was with Papa John's also. That he could have gotten out of it when the controversy behind John from Papa John.
John that is Papa John.
Yeah. I do know that Little Caesars is really heavily involved in Detroit, and because I believe they're founded there.
Detroit-style crust too, with their typical pizza.
And I want to say the owner of the Detroit Red Wings is somehow affiliated with Little Caesars.
Well, that's the N on the NHL.
Yeah. So I don't know about the football connections. It seems like a thing Jerry Jones might be associated with.
Jerry Jones has too much money. But on a side note, you talk about Detroit-style crust, top line.
Yeah,
I like Detroit-style crust.
It's an underrated. St. Louis, another underrated crust style.
Explain the St. Louis crust.
So that would be what you would think of as the pub style, square cut, thin cracker crust, kind of crispy, thin.
See, I think
lavash
crust. If I think about thin cracker crust. Isn't that what it is? It's a lavash then?
Yep.
See, no, I want to be able. I want a two-hand hold my pizza because it's so thick. It's like a lasagna on a piece of crust.
Mm-hmm. You want half a loaf of bread as the crust.
Correct.
Delicious, and I think there's room for all of those kinds of pizza.
See, you're a pizza guy. It's your birthday. Are you going out for pizza or are you going out for a steak?
We actually are.
You going out for pizza tonight? I'm not going to ask where.
Yeah. The new wife, my mom and my sister, we're going to go.
Oh, well, that sounds like a very
local establishment.
Fun time.
It'll be just like I turned 9.
Yeah. We're going to go for a pizza party. Eric Johnson's turning 39, but we're going to say he's
38.
Oh, you're turning? I thought you were 38.
No, I turned 38 today.
Okay, well, I'm not going to apologize. I thought you were older and wiser.
One more year until
I thought
one extra year before
40, because I was going to go. You're not 40 yet, are you?
No,
okay.
No.
We both got a little bit of time before that happens. So
not as much as we'd like, but
no, I'm a lot closer than what I would like to be at this point. So I go to a pizza party. That's cute. I like that.
Yep. It'll be slightly more high class than the ones I had when I was a kid.
Yeah. Are there gaming machines in this place?
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, so it's not. We can eliminate Chuck E. Cheese and Pizza Ranch from the potential pizza party.
Those are off the list. It also does not have bar games in it, so you can eliminate a few more.
Okay. Help me figure out what pizza joint Eric Johnson's going for his birthday. 35270. So it's got no bar games. It's got pizza.
Yep.
That's the only two
It's
clues.
what they are known for. It's not
Dwayne's.
Not Dwayne's, although I do love Dwayne's House Pizza. But no.
Okay.
Think slightly more sit-down restaurant than delivery.
Okay, I'm thinking there's a place in West Fargo that I can't think of. The McKenzie River?
Nope, but yeah, you're getting closer. Although this is, I'll give you another clue. This is a downtown location.
Well, people are flooding in the text. Is it Blackbird?
It is.
Blackbird, thank you.
It is.
Everybody knew it was Blackbird but me, apparently. Which great company.
Phenomenal.
Locally owned. Started, I think, out of a food truck out in Western North Dakota.
I was at a show not too long ago at Fargo Brewing, and they still have that available for some of those things. So they have the little mobile pizza oven.
Yeah, Blackbird. Jeez, okay, I feel like an idiot now. Everyone knew it. It's like, how was I not supposed to be held my hand and walked right to Blackbird for this answer?
So a little higher end pizza party, but still a pizza party.
Higher end. Okay, so you got, Blackbird has I would say some more exotic type of pizzas.
Sure. Yeah.
You're still going basic pepperoni, aren't you?
There's a few on their menu that I will dabble in. The one that's got an egg on it that is really, I think it's called the Lumberjack. That's very tasty.
That sounds
the
like
nice thing about a pizza
man-type
place like that is they're small enough that you can get a couple and have a couple different varieties.
Why limit it to one?
Exactly.
I like where your head's at there. Okay, well, have fun down there. Thanks for everybody for helping us out. I'm going to get you caught up with this weather update too, Tom Schmansky. I'm going to text one of the many moon texts that came in back, and you're going to get this 4-pass to the Country Music Festival of Walker, Minnesota. That's taking place. Again, these passes, 2-day passes, 17th and 18th, which is this weekend. So we'll do that. We'll see what's coming up on the Drive Time News. Couch Potato Radio follows Jack Sunday, and then our election night coverage. Joel Heitkamp, myself, we're going to be back in this studio streaming live, and of course over these airwaves as well. But a variety of our teams is going to be out and about because you think about how many candidates are on these local election ballots here within the FM area. So it's going to be scattered out, bringing you some of the sounds of the atmosphere, the party, the champagne popping as we do watch these results come in. We'll break down what we expect and what we see right here on KFGO.
Currently 81 degrees at the KFGO studios, repeating the severe thunderstorm watch for much of northwestern Minnesota. Much of our listening area up in the northwestern Minnesota areas include Ada, Argyle, Bagley, Baudette, Bemidji, Clearbrook, Crookston, East Grand Forks, Red Lake Falls, Roseau, Stephen, Thief River Falls, Twin Valley, Warren, Warroad, and Waban. More Afternoons Live with Tyler Axis coming up right after this.
I'm looking at the KFGO clock, and we're 7 minutes away from that 5 o'clock punch out. That means you're going to be driving home or driving wherever it is that your heart desires, and you're going to keep it locked in here because Jack Sunday got the drive time news coming right on up.
Yep, all the news you need to get home, or I don't know if you need it to get home, but all the news that you need to know whatever is going on. News, weather, sports, ag,
Everything.
Markets, goofing off. We've got it all. I have a special guest at around quarter after every drive time news hour. Today it's Daryl Richardson of the North Dakota Ag Weather Network about hot. It's supposed to get hot. 100 plus.
Yeah, it's we were begging for warm weather for the last couple of months, and now, well, it's here.
Yep. And so, of course, he has the ag connection there too, and I'm just wondering what he's telling the farmers about the significance of, and find out how protracted it will be. I think it's triple digits for only 3 days, something like that.
Manageable then.
Well, maybe
for me, and I remember somebody saying this earlier this spring when we were getting a lot of rain, a lot of moisture, and they referenced, and I don't remember what year it is, and maybe Daryl does, that we had a wet spring, and then it was like somebody turned the spigot off, and all of a sudden it was dry and it was hot the rest of the summer, and people were worried that we could be facing that again this year.
Yeah, well, I tend to think that when it's all said and done, every harvest, it's about average.
Yeah.
And that means some don't do well, and others do very well. The KFGO election coverage tonight begins at 7 o'clock, right?
7 o'clock.
Goes until Twins baseball at 8:30?
8:30. Twins are at Seattle, so it's a late Twins game. We will be getting out of the way for the Twins, and we will be bringing you as many results as we can before that. But during the game, when those results, if not all of them, are in by 8:30, we'll be providing those as well.
I hope. I voted by mail, and did you vote in person?
I'm going to be voting right after this. Actually, I'm shutting this microphone off, getting in the truck, and I'm going up to vote up north here.
Yeah. Fargo Dome, West Acres Mall, Doubletree Inn, Fargo Civic Center, Atonement Lutheran.
There's not a lack of places, so there's no excuses for any of you to get on out and vote here in the metro area and beyond, quite frankly. I know that I was hearing from some other auditors that, polling places are open, and people took advantage of voting earlier. There's 45,000 votes already cast.
Oh, really? Well, that's great. I miss going to the poll because I used to get that sticker.
The sticker. I don't know what. I've seen a number of people walking around with that sticker. It's like a point of pride. I haven't gotten you went and voted.
Yeah, I got a sticker. I have a tradition of putting them inside my car on the little sunglass holder, but it's still the one that was designed by the elementary school kid. The drawing of the eagle. I really like that they switched to that.
I have evidence on my wallet of what I did with it
from years past.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 I voted stickers on my wallet still. It's so gauche.
Not from this election alone. That's from 5 years past. Jack Sunday's the drive time news coming on up here in about 4 minutes. This message just came in a few seconds ago. Tyler, there is some kind of accident on I-29 between 32nd Avenue and 52nd Avenue. So be mindful of that. And thanks for that Road Warrior report. We will have Poly Alliance out there with traffic throughout the drive time news, letting you know about these areas. But quite frankly, you're the eyes out there. And if you could safely let us know, 35270 is how you can text us, or certainly phone lines are always open for your traffic reports at 237-5948. That is not it for me today. I'm coming back. 7 o'clock, our election night coverage does begin here on KFGO. Myself, Joel Heidkamp, will be covering some of that, including Amy Eiler, JJ Gorin, the whole crew, Paul Juergens, and so much more. But for Afternoons Live, you take care of yourselves. I'll check in tomorrow right here on KFGO.